Welcome to the Everything Epigenetics podcast, where we discuss DNA regulation and the insights it can tell you about your health. I'm Hannah Went, and I'm the founder of Everything Epigenetics. Today, I have the honor to introduce my amazing guest, Dr. Jeffrey Bland. A lot of you listening may be familiar with Dr. Bland, but we're going to touch on some pretty unique topics today. We're actually going to discuss who his mentor was throughout his career and even about his history with IFM and PLMI and Big Bold Health. For those of you who are unfamiliar with those organizations, we will explain the history of each of them and how they have really pushed Dr. Bland's career. We'll also be talking about how his views on medicine has changed throughout his life and when he first remembers hearing about epigenetics and how epigenetics has impacted his thoughts on functional medicine. We'll then talk about what work needs to be done in epigenetics to further solidify the concept of nutrition as medicine, and lastly discuss about what he wants to see accomplished in this field. A quick introduction to my guest. Dr. Jeffrey Bland is a personable and highly respected thought leader who has spent more than 5 decades focused on the improvement of human health. He is really known worldwide as the founder of the functional medicine movement, which represents his vision for a care model that is grounded in systems biology and informed research, really by research that is unique. And he has this really unique ability to synthesize such information. His pioneering work has created the Personalized Lifestyle Medicine Institute, as well as the Institute for Functional Medicine, the global leader in functional medicine education, which we discussed today. He is the author of the best-selling books and over 120 peer-reviewed research publications. He speaks extensively, and his engaging style makes him popular with both professional and consumer audience. And Dr. Bland's latest project, which we also discuss, is going to be Big Bold Health, where he's on a mission to transform the way people think about one of nature's greatest innovations, the immune system itself. Through Big Bold Health, Dr. Bland is advocating for the power of immunorejuvenation to enhance immunity at a global level. It's a very ambitious and purpose-driven effort that really encompasses his active stance on regenerative agriculture, environmental stewardship, and planetary health. This is a great episode. I really hope you enjoy. And now for my guest, Dr. Jeffrey Bland. Welcome to the Everything Epigenetics podcast, Dr. Bland. Thanks for joining me today.
And I can't tell you how much I've looked forward to this. This is a topic that is on the frontal lobes of my mind all the time. So I look forward to talking to you about it.
Yeah, definitely. And I had my real first exposure to you at the PLMI conference we did in Seattle. I think it's, been almost over a year ago now, coming at the end of the fall, going into winter. And, you just amaze me. You're always on the forefront. You're asking the correct questions. So I was just super excited to have you on and really want to thank you for your time.
Well, thank you. I think what you're doing is extraordinarily important. This is where the frontier lies, and we need to get people to understand how they can be pioneers in this new frontier.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of want to start with a unique question. As I was creating kind of my agenda or my talking points for this episode, I was listening to a bunch of your podcasts or features where you're speaking and reading through a lot of transcripts of others who have chatted with you. But I found something in common that really just made me smile. A lot of them mentioned that you were their mentor, right? So I think you're this figure in the space. And I think that really speaks volumes to everything you've done for the field of functional medicine and, PLMI, which we'll get into your background a little bit later. But you're truly an inspiration. And I mean that when I say that, but that got me to thinking, who was, your mentor throughout your career, Dr. Bland?
Well, first of all, thank you. I guess what I've learned in the course of my now 77 years of living is that if you stick around long enough, eventually become a piece of the furniture. You become part of the furniture. So, yeah, I think that longevity has something to be said for it, I guess. So my mentors were really 3 principal, I think, figures as I look back. The first is my father, who was a tremendous guide and always was there to support me. He was an aerospace engineer. He was a science geek. And he was always supportive of anything I wanted to do, everything from photography to electronics to baseball to basketball to you name it. He was always right there to jump in and provide guidance and leadership and support. Secondly, I think I'd have to say would be my undergraduate research mentor. I was very lucky. I ended up going to my last 2 years at the University of California, Irvine, which is a brand new school at the time. I was in the first graduating class there, and I had transferred over actually from UCLA. And I ended up having the opportunity to have as my research advisor Professor Sherwood Rowland, who is quite famous actually because he and his postdoctoral student, Dr. Molina, really discovered this whole thing about the ozone layer being threatened by freon, refrigerant gases. And he won a Nobel Prize actually in chemistry for that discovery. He's a physical chemist. And my undergraduate research, because it was a new school, we didn't have a lot of doctoral students. They recruited a lot of undergraduates then into graduate kind of research. And so I ended up working for him on that process. And it was important for me because it connected together environmental science with chemistry, with health. And so it kind of was my introduction into kind of going across disciplines and looking at things in a broader way. The third person in my list, I think, would have to be John Wooden, the basketball coach at UCLA, who I fortunately had the opportunity to play for as a I guess you'd call it a great bench warmer. But just being part of that team was the first national championship team where I went to UCLA, and he was just such a guide, such a figure for leadership and values. And then lastly, of course, in 1982, or actually 81 to 83, I took a sabbatical as a university professor by invitation from Dr. Linus Pauling, two-time Nobel Prize winner, and I ran a research lab for Dr. Pauling in Stanford for a couple of years, and that was a true life and career-changing experience for me. So I would have to say those are the four people that really kind of shaped how I was going to use my years in